So welcome to my site, everybody. My name is Paul, and today I'm going to be speaking a little bit about a very popular subject these days, is the subject of abortion. And obviously I'm a man, and I've never had a birth, of course, and I have known some people who had abortions, and it's a very deep subject, and I want to address it a little bit from some of the perspective that I have over the years. I practiced meditation almost all my life, since my early 20s, and I'm 69 years old now. And I've investigated a lot of the ancient teachings, and of course my own spirit thirst for God and understanding and peace and joy in my life has led me along this path. And I wanted to share some of my thoughts today, a little bit about this deep subject. And obviously I'm a man, I never had a birth and everything. I have known some women who had a birth, and the mother of my children had an abortion one time before I met her, and she regretted it very much, and so on. So naturally, part of my research, I've done a little bit of investigation about the procedures and so on, and a little bit about the human life and the procedure it goes through as it develops. And it's a very, very profound subject, and it's worth really spending a few minutes with me here. Offer my 2 cents here. And maybe a little bit different perspective than many times what people normally think. The ancient teachings and the great sages of all time, they brought us some very important information about this human life and what we can do with it. And I know a lot of people follow the teachings of Jesus and what we know of Jesus. I was born in a Christian home, and my parents were missionaries, and my grandfather and my dad were ministers. So that's a little bit about my background. As I grew up, I began to practice meditation, and naturally I wanted to have all the fulfillment in my life of God and joy and peace and everything. But the biblical story and the representation that was made, and the different ideas that are presented and so on, based on a limited book and some limited understanding of Jesus' life, a huge thing has come about. And the subject of abortion is extremely profound, because it really hits to the core of what this human life is all about. And if you have a few minutes here, I want to share with you maybe some different kinds of ideas and concepts that maybe you're not very familiar with. But the question boils down to, what is this human life that we have here? What is this life? We're given it. We're just born here, and we just happen to be born in this time. We could have been born in another time. And all millions and millions and billions of souls have come on this planet, and they never had a chance to read the Bible or the Gita or the Quran or anything. They just came and went, and all of a sudden here we are. And the subject of life is it. The subject of life. What is this life? Now, the ancient teachings, beyond just the theory, well, there's a God in the sky and he loves you and all that, and do good to your fellow man and all that, there's a profound technology that this body has. This body is a chemistry, it's a technology, it's the ultimate kind of technology, but we're not told that when we're young. We don't get told the full potential of a human life. And some of the more deeper science, you might say, the knowledge, the understanding of this complexity of this human life and what it can be used for and so on, and that gets washed away in a lot of the modern teachings, even in the last couple thousand years. And it's a very, very profound thing that we need to understand what this life really is. Now, there are sages in the ancient teachings in India that said that this human body that we have is like the crown of creation, in a sense where this is the microcosm of the Godhead, you might say. Now, you can discuss that and debate about that and so on, but this is the teaching, and this is basically what these sages say, that, look, this human life, this body that you have, that you can look in the mirror and you see this body in whatever shape it is a microcosm, it is a home for the Almighty. The deity is a place where some human consciousness, that little consciousness that we have, that we identify with, we can go in our little heart and we can get taught and we can show that we have a connection through all the different layers of our body, the mind and the emotions and everything. We can have a channel all the way to the core of what we are as a human being, and that is this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful beingness, that life force, that in the womb, the baby is being breathed. You understand? We adult human beings are in the womb, you might say, of that earth. The earth, the earth aura, the earth encompasses us all and all the life on this planet. And this is an analogy to all the way up through the infinity, that there's this an embracing, there's this a joining, there's a nurturing, there's a growing, and that happens all the way down. And the symbol in a human life is that, if you have this incredible human life, that you can understand who God is and what the feeling, it's a technology to perceive all kinds of things and hear and feel and taste and smell and have a heaven on this earth. That is the technology that we have. And that means that every human being that is born on this planet has that opportunity. It's a very, very precious and special, and we're told extremely rare, wonderful opportunity to have this human life, even if you're born poor. Okay? A lot of sages, a lot of people, a lot of great people have been born poor, and it doesn't matter what you have. It happens what you realize, what you understand in this life, and how conscious you can be. So, when a human being, this divine technology that we have, male and female, there's an opportunity to create another human being, another one, another incredible potential manifestation of some soul. That one soul could be a Mozart, could be whatever, could be just one more incredible being on this planet. And deep down, our soul knows this. So we're told by the sages that in the womb, when a good matchup happens, when there's a mother and their father, they're longing for a baby, and they want to bring this manifestation full of love into this world, and they bring it, and they consciously do it, then that soul is just, every moment in that womb, that soul is like, I can't wait, I'm so happy, I get a human body, my parents love me, can't wait to be born. And the technology of this body, there's a smell inside us, there's a sweetness inside us, there's a sound inside us, there's light inside us, and in the womb, in the deep womb, that's why we long for the womb, because in that womb, the grace of the Almighty holds that being in a place of joy. That's why when your babies come out, they don't know anything, they're just smiling, they're Googling because they're smelling and sweetness and they're tasting sweetness and they're just so happy. Their soul doesn't even know how to control their body yet. They're just so happy to be here. I watched two births, my own sons be born. So there's a tremendous deep phenomena happening whenever a human body is germinating and being constructed. Now, we live in a really crazy world, and it's gotten terrible, and there are times when a woman gets raped or whatever, and forcibly and so on. There's many different kinds of situations that are very, very sad in this world because of those things. Now, from the point of view of the baby that comes into this womb and is waiting, says, I can't wait, if I just get there, how you just get on the last flight out of somewhere and you get this chance to have a human body and you're there and you're almost there, and then boom, all of a sudden you're not there. Now, on a deep subconscious psychic level, that individual, because when a mother has a baby, the intention is the aura of the mother surrounds that baby, and they're joining, and their breath is, they're breathing, and their sounds are together, and there's lovingness going on, and there's two beings. That's the thing that we have. If we don't understand the preciousness of our own life, this life, however we are, we're poor, people have been born from rape, people have been born in the most miserable circumstances you can imagine. I've seen them in India. You got a 2-year-old begging on a train station. That 2-year-old begging on a train station can grow up and be a scientist. If we just collectively, the human beings around say, well, however that baby came into this world, Here it is. And let's see what we can do to make it happy and make it fulfill its potential. So, even though I'm a man and, over the years I've just heard a lot of talk and everything, I started, realizing, well, my life is really precious. I have a human life. This is beautiful. I don't like the idea of abortion, honestly. And it's not just an opinion, because the idea is that the soul is coming in and it wants to be born and it wants to have a happy life. And even if it lives, there are people who have lived a short life. Some of the greatest teachers, the greatest scientists, the greatest mathematicians, the greatest musicians, many of them died early, 20, 30, 40 years. Here I am, almost 70 years old. And my life goes on, and I'm just like, oh my God, like how lucky I was that my mother had me. All the travail that she went through. So this human life is just so precious. And unfortunately, in our modern life, it's hard to really wrap our brain around that this. We don't even know that our own life is precious, let alone the life we're nurturing. But the society has to understand that as well, not just the individual. Because, for example, there are people who just long to have a child. And for some reason their body couldn't function or whatever, and they're not able to have a child. But they would just love to adopt some child. So there has to find a way to match that. Someone doesn't want to be a mother. It's a very, very stressful thing to become a mother when you're young and you don't know what to do and you don't have any money and you're not really going to be a very good mother and you don't have the money to help the baby. Those are very difficult decisions. But at the same time, the society has to participate in embracing human life. And the way to start doing that is understand that our life, this human life that we live, is incredibly precious. It doesn't matter if you're born poor. What matters if you have understanding in this life of the joy that you can, just like there are so many seeds that are just thrown by the wayside. I know, for example, there's a place with raspberries. Hardly anybody ever eats all the raspberries. There's so many raspberries where I live that I can't possibly eat them all. And I don't even know how they got there, but they're spreading and spreading and spreading and making more and more for the birds and feeding. So when human beings bring germination in another human being, it's an incredible, incredible thing. Because one person was the mother of Beethoven, one person was the mother of all these great sages, all these great musicians, and there was a father involved also. So, you don't know what that baby will amount to. Now, my realization, I feel that I want to talk a little bit about the esoteric aspects of this, okay? So, let's say, for example, that in a normal situation that people are loving to each other and they want to have a baby and they have intercourse and so on, and then a baby starts to arrive. Now, if I had children when I wasn't really technically ready, I wasn't emotionally ready, I wasn't financially ready, but I look at my 3 children right now and I go, wow, I got 7 grandkids. And none of that would have happened if I had taken the route. I had a situation where one time when the mother of one of my children, we had a fire in our household. I was out of town, mother was out of town, out of the house, and one cabin burned down. We lost everything. We already had a 6-month-old baby. And then along comes like, oh, you're pregnant. And the mother of my children didn't want to have another abortion. She had had one in her life. It was traumatic. And my parents, family, welcome. Okay, come along. And it caused me and the mother a lot of problems later in life. There's just difficulties of many kinds, financial difficulties. and not really always being able to be there. We went through a divorce and so on. And I look at my son today, the same one that was there, and I go, oh, he has an amazing, strong body, very smart mind, already has 3 kids, beautiful children. So, whether someone wants to get an abortion or not, or whether it's legal, it seems to me, just as an outside perspective, that maybe it should be, if you're going to have an abortion, have it early, please. Have it as soon as possible. And don't wait till it's a terrible thing. And if you are going to have a late term, then please put it up for adoption, because there are people who would be happy to have a child. Now, this thing has gotten really political, and it's a really, really shame. And I think the politics is really reflective simply of our lack of understanding of who we are. What is this human life all about here? We don't know how long it's going to last. We talk glibly about, oh, well, don't interfere with my life. I'm going to have this abortion and just, I don't want to, I mean, there's so much talk and it's so angry. It's just like, it's so sad. We're talking about human life here. And if you understand the value of one human life, that soul that comes into this world, it comes through a mother. Those people, a lot of times the children do very different things than their parents. I'm very, very grateful to my parents. So, so grateful that my parents, they endured a lot of hardship to have me. And I endured a lot of hardship to have 3 children also. In a lot of ways. Financially especially. Really just changed my whole life. And, if you don't have children, it's an easier financial situation generally. But, again, I make a lot of videos about consciousness, and there's a state of deep meditation. I've been practicing meditation for many, many years. And I have various states of practice and discipline and so on, but I can tell you one thing, that it gets you into a place that being, that child, that infinite, that fetus, that the fetus is just a shell. Like this body is just a shell of a greater being, you see? The young fetus, the little fetus, it goes through all these different stages, and it's just a kernel, okay? A seed is a tree. You look at an acorn, you don't see a tree. You see, actually it could be a forest, you see? So one human being germinated, the mother, I mean, people talk about the glory of men and women. I'll tell you, the great sages, many of them were men, but they all knew without a mother they would be nothing. So the opportunity to be a mother for a soul who may be brilliant, may help so many people, maybe just have a fulfillment personally in their own life. If you have the opportunity to give birth to a human being, it's a really, really special gift. It's extraordinary. It's an incredible magic that happens. I watched 2 people be born. You just start breathing, and now 24/7, going on and healing. Here I am, 69 years old, plus my time in the womb. So I find it very, very sad that we're in the middle of a debate like this, and I hope that somehow each person that makes a decision in their own life and others to consider how great it is to be a human being and to be a mother. Being able to be a mother to another human being is just an absolutely amazing opportunity. And yeah, it'll change your life having a kid. I'll tell you, when I had my first kid, all of a sudden, bigger car, bigger apartment, everything had to change, completely, totally different, spending more money, you can't go to the beach, stay home, watch TV. So, regarding this abortion issue, the consciousness of a human being is in there, and their state of deep meditation. The sages say that in the womb, that being is in a state of samadhi. Samadhi is a joyful state of existence that you are not identified with anything. The baby's not in the womb thinking, "I'm Joe. I'm coming out there. I'm going to be a carpenter. I'm going to drive fancy cars. I'm going to get rich. I got to do this. I got to do that." The baby's not thinking like that in the womb. In our deepest state, in our deepest meditation, in our own personal samadhi, we're not identified with that, but we're allowed to have this breathing. The breath of God is breathing us in and out. They said that God breathed into the breath of life into human beings. If you understand the cosmos is breathing, everything has a cycle. You see, everything is a vibration. Okay, that's why meditation and prayer and synchronizing into the deep meditation. And when you see a mom, there's a certain stage where a pregnant woman, from a psychic perspective, can be identified. Like, okay, well, there's another being there. You see, it's not just one person anymore. There's another manifestation coming through, and a manifestation is a manifestation, one rare, unique, particular manifestation of the Almighty, the infinite, as above, so below. God incarnates in human beings, you might say. God, the human being, the human form on this particular planet is an incredible, incredible expression of divinity, of joy. That's why all the sages say, look, every human being can become, and is supposed to become, like a full tree. We're not supposed to be just acorns here. We're all supposed to have fruits and trees, and just make a whole forest. So, this whole topic of what is a life is relevant, because if we make a decision about, it's a personal decision. I mean, imagine, for most women that I've talked to, having an abortion is a very traumatic thing, because instinctively the woman's soul knows, there's something there. There's another being there, and I have to care for it. My body is going ahead and starting to care for it, and you're drawn in, and as soon as it comes out, you feel something. Now, there are situations, okay, I understand, okay, there's medical and things like that, but, you know, human beings went a long, long time on this earth without abortions. Abortions happen after naturally people would fall or hurt themselves or something, they have a miscarriage and things like that, okay? Nature has its ways. But the extent where abortions become an industry, a profitable, lucrative industry, it's just, I don't even have words for that. Because if you understand that, let's say you have a late-term abortion, and this baby is just about like maybe to 7 months or something, and it's like, I can't wait, here, I'm going to come out soon. You know, the soul's like, okay, I'm going to open my eye, I'm going to see this beautiful earth, they're going to see this beautiful world, they're going to maybe see some family and everything. Their souls come in. See, this reincarnation, recycling of souls, is not, there's something to that, okay? Let's just put it that way. There's something to the DNA that brings in some further information from the past and all that. Okay, there's a chemistry, it's a technology, okay? Imagining lives, everything in the end is a total illusion, okay? Even this physical world. So any dreams or reincarnation, if you really add it up, it's all just a drama, okay? It's a movie screen. Reincarnation, this life, physical life, dying and birthing, it all is ultimately a drama, okay? And yet, the consciousness that we have, the little point of attention that we have to put on this life, is so incredibly precious, and that's why these great teachers say, look, as soon as you can in this life, find out why you're here. And you're here to expand your awareness despite the circumstances. People think, oh, it's so bad to be born poor. Well, there are people who are born poor for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and many of them actually sought poverty, and they went and lived up in a cave to practice meditation because they knew that that was even far superior to having a whole kingdom. So, I talk a lot about more consciousness and esoteric idea of awareness and our selfhood and our beingness in many other videos, but I wanted to address this. It's an emotional subject. I have a passion about it because life is precious. To understand this thing, abortion, we have to understand us and how precious we are. If we don't understand how precious we are, we're never going to understand what an embryo is, another human being. And when we do, we just have a real different, more respective, devoted approach to it. We're lucky to be parents, and we're lucky to be uncles and aunts also, to help another life and just help them grow and flower. It's a service to bring into children in the world. It's a real service. So, I hope I didn't overwhelm people with a little bit of emotion here, but it's a very passionate subject, and I know a lot of people sympathize with the things that I'm saying here. But this life is precious, and there's a lot more to it than we're ever told. And if you want to understand more, then there's great teachers out there offering practical techniques. I practice meditation by a man named Prem Rawat. I've practiced since my early 20s. And it's just never ends, and it always gets better, and it's always there. So there are simple techniques that are taught over the years to help people understand this technology, this body that we have. I mean, frankly, a woman's body is just absolutely extraordinary. The fact that it can bring another being into the world. And nowadays you can, artificially inseminate a woman, and they don't even need they need some bit of a man, but they don't need a whole man, you might say. But it's still a baby. It's still a sacred soul coming in, and that soul, for all we know, you young mothers out there or women that are questioning, for all we know, that soul is like longing and longing and longing to be born and wants to have you for a mother, and it just wants to be in your family and just wants to be creative and wants to find fulfillment. So try to hear that voice of that second person inside you. So thanks again for listening. I hope some of you will like and share and watch some of my other videos, and a lot more interesting content and not so emotional. So again, thanks very much for listening, and I hope you hear from me again. Thank you.